Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Billy Bob Thornton talks about his painful divorce from Angelina Jolie. Billy Bob Thornton was born on August 4, 1955 in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Thornton grew up in a simple working-class family, which gave him a tough and real view of life that would later show up in his work as an artist. He was the youngest of 3 kids, and his early life was shaped by money problems and his family's strength to keep going. These experiences would deeply affect how real and emotional his acting performances would be. When he was young, Thornton loved to tell stories, often making up imaginary situations and characters. This was the beginning of a career that would be known for being flexible and emotionally real. Thornton's success in Hollywood didn't happen fast or in a normal way. At first, he struggled with low-paying jobs and small acting parts, showing a never-give-up attitude toward his work and a willingness to face years of being turned down before people noticed him. His big break came with the 1996 movie Slingblade, which Thornton wrote, directed, and acted in. The movie, based on a character he had created in a short film and earlier stage shows, was loved by critics and made good money. Thornton's acting as Carl Childers, a man with a troubled past trying to make things right, won him the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay and a nomination for Best Actor. This made everyone see him as an actor who could show extraordinary emotional feelings and depth. This success showed not only his talent, but also his commitment to telling stories that really touch audiences, often looking at the complicated parts of human nature and what's right and wrong. Beyond Slingblade, Thornton has shown amazing flexibility in many different types of movies. He has easily moved from serious roles in films like A Simple Plan in 1998 and Monsters Ball in 2001 to darkly funny performances in movies like Bad Santa in 2003. This shows his ability to play characters that are morally unclear, weird, or totally unpredictable. His performances often have a raw intensity and a quiet vulnerability, capturing the inner battles and struggles of his characters in a way that feels real to viewers. This wide range has made him one of the most respected and lasting actors of his time. People admire him not only for his technical skill, but for the emotional truthfulness he brings to every role. Besides his acting, Thornton has also made a big impact as a musician. As the lead singer and songwriter for the band Billy Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters, he has explored country, rock, and Americana styles, showing a deep love for storytelling through music. His songwriting often talks about similar themes to his movie work: human complexity, love, loss, and making things right, further showing his many-sided creative identity. Music has given him another way to connect with audiences, and his passion for performing is clear both on screen and on stage. Thornton's personal life has often gotten public attention, though he has handled fame with some authenticity and honesty. Known for his honest interviews and unapologetic approach to fame, he has accepted both the wins and controversies that have been part of his journey. Despite the challenges, Thornton stays dedicated to his artistic vision, always choosing projects that challenge him and match with his personal feelings. This integrity has earned him the respect of other actors and fans, showing his commitment to artistry over just making money. Billy Bob Thornton's personal life has often gotten as much attention as his famous film career, mostly because of his multiple marriages and the very different personalities of the women he's been with. Each of his relationships shows a particular time in his life and creative growth, showing both the chaos and tenderness that have defined him as an artist and person. Thornton's first marriage was to Melissa Lee Gatlin, whom he married in 1978. This relationship came early in his adult life, long before fame would find him. At that time, Thornton was still a struggling actor and musician trying to make ends meet while chasing his Hollywood dreams. The pressures of not having enough money and the emotional stress of an uncertain career path weighed heavily on their young marriage. The couple divorced in 1980, but not before having a daughter, Amanda, who would later have her own run-ins with the public eye. Though their relationship was short-lived, it gave Thornton his first experience of being a father, a theme that would come up throughout his life, often influencing the depth of his performances and songwriting. His second marriage to Toni Lawrence in 1986 came at a time when Thornton was beginning to find a foothold in the entertainment industry, getting small acting roles and developing his skills as a writer. Toni, the daughter of actor Mark Lawrence, shared his passion for film, and for a short time, the couple seemed creatively on the same page. However, their marriage proved short, lasting only until 1988. The two split up peacefully, and Thornton would later think back that his early marriages were often victims of his obsessive drive to succeed, a trait that made him restless both personally and professionally. In 1990, Thornton entered into his third marriage with Cinda Williams, a talented actress and singer. The pair met through the entertainment world, and their shared artistic goals initially brought them together. Cinda, who would star opposite Denzel Washington in Mo Better Blues, was herself on the edge of being recognized. Yet, the challenges of balancing two emerging Hollywood careers, made worse by Thornton's relentless work ethic, put strain on the relationship. They divorced in 1992, though both would go on to speak respectfully of each other's talents in later interviews. Thornton's fourth marriage to Petra Dawn Cherniak in 1993 marked one of the more difficult chapters in his personal life. Petra, a former Playboy model, brought a whirlwind of glamour and intensity into Thornton's world. The couple had two sons together, Harry James and William, and for a time they appeared to be living a charmed life. Yet behind the scenes, their marriage became filled with conflict and tension. Petra would later file for divorce in 1997, saying they had irreconcilable differences and making headlines with claims of emotional volatility in their home life. For Thornton, this time matched up with his rise to fame as a filmmaker following Slingblade, a success that dramatically changed his lifestyle and further complicated his relationships. Then came perhaps the most famous of Thornton's marriages, his union with Angelina Jolie. The two met on the set of the 1999 film Pushing Tin and married in 2000 in a ceremony that fascinated the tabloids. Their relationship became one of the most talked about in Hollywood, not only because of their passionate public displays of affection, but also their weird expressions of love. Most famously, the vials of each other's blood that they wore around their necks. Thornton, who was nearly 20 years older than Jolie, often described her as a beautiful, wild spirit, and their bond was both intense and volatile. However, as Jolie's career took off and Thornton became more and more uncomfortable with the public attention surrounding their marriage, cracks began to form. They divorced in 2003, with Thornton later admitting that he felt insecure and out of place in Jolie's world of fame and activism. Despite their split, both have spoken kindly of one another in later years, emphasizing the deep affection that once united them. After years of romantic chaos, Thornton found stability with Connie England, a puppeteer and costume artist whom he met in 2003 on the set of Bad Santa. Unlike his previous high-profile relationships, Thornton and England kept their romance relatively private, preferring a grounded, family-centered life away from the spotlight of Hollywood. They welcomed a daughter, Bella, in 2004 and after more than a decade together, married in 2014. Thornton has often credited Connie with bringing peace and balance to his life, describing her as someone who understands his quirks and supports his creative spirit without judgment. When Billy Bob Thornton finally broke his silence about his highly publicized divorce from Angelina Jolie, his words were raw, honest, and filled with regret. The actor and musician, known for his deeply thoughtful nature, spoke openly about the emotional pain their split caused him. It was like walking through a storm with no end in sight, Thornton confessed. I was completely lost, and for a while I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Their marriage, which once fascinated Hollywood with its weird intensity, had turned into something painful and confusing for both. Thornton described the experience as one of the darkest chapters of his life, a period filled with confusion, loneliness, and the haunting realization that love alone is not always enough to keep a relationship going. Thornton and Jolie were married from 2000 to 2003, during which their relationship was the subject of endless fascination. They were famous for their wild public displays of affection, including wearing vials of each other's blood around their necks, a symbol of passion that later became a reminder of heartbreak. We were both in our own worlds, Thornton explained. She had her path and I had mine, and eventually those paths just couldn't meet anymore. The actor admitted that their intense chemistry hid a deep incompatibility that grew more obvious as their lives began to pull in different directions. Jolie was rising into global stardom and humanitarian work, while Thornton longed for a quieter, more private life. She was like the sun, brilliant, strong, and always moving forward, he said softly. I was more like the shade. I wanted peace and stillness, and she wanted to conquer the world. In the end, that difference tore us apart. Thornton revealed that after the divorce, he fell into depression and self-doubt. He described sleepless nights, isolation, and a sense of guilt that stuck with him for years. I blamed myself for everything, he admitted. I thought maybe I wasn't enough, or maybe I didn't know how to love her the right way. Despite their separation, Thornton has always spoken respectfully of Jolie, calling her one of the most amazing people I've ever known. He said that even in the worst moments, he admired her courage and compassion. There's not a bad bone in her body, he insisted. She's a force of nature, and she deserves all the good things she's accomplished. Looking back, Thornton also admitted that fame and media pressure made their struggles bigger. The constant public watching created a wedge between them that neither could overcome. It's hard to have a normal marriage when every move you make is judged, he said. We were living in a glass house and eventually the cracks started to show. He admitted that both he and Jolie were trying to deal with personal demons while being in the spotlight, a recipe for disaster. Thornton, who has long battled anxiety and a fear of crowds, found himself overwhelmed by the chaotic attention surrounding their marriage. "I wasn't built for that kind of life," he confessed. "I wanted to hide, and she wanted to shine. That's where we lost each other." Despite the heartbreak, Thornton believes the experience taught him valuable lessons about love, fame, and self-acceptance. He learned that vulnerability is both a strength and a curse, especially when lived under public watching. "It took me years to understand that love doesn't always mean forever," he said. "Sometimes love is about letting go, even when it breaks your heart." In the years since, Thornton has found peace in music and writing, putting his pain into creativity. He's also kept a quiet friendship with Jolie, describing their bond as one built on respect and shared history rather than anger. "We'll always care about each other," he said with a bittersweet smile. You don't go through something like that and just forget. Ultimately, Billy Bob Thornton's thoughts on his divorce from Angelina Jolie reveal not only the pain of lost love, but also the humanity behind two people the world saw as larger than life. His honesty paints a picture of a man who has lived through both passion and heartbreak, chaos and calm. A reminder that even in Hollywood, love can be as fragile as it is fiery. "If I could go back," he said quietly, "I wouldn't change falling in love with her, but I'd try harder to understand myself first." That's where it all begins. Knowing who you are before you give your heart away. Thornton has dyslexia and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Various unusual behaviors have been well documented in interviews with Thornton. Among these is a fear of antique furniture, a disorder shared by Dwight Yoakam's character Doyle Hargraves in the Thornton-written Slingblade, and by Thornton's own character in the 2001 film Bandits. Additionally, he has stated that he has a fear of certain types of silverware, a trait assumed by his character in 2001's Monsters Ball, in which he insists on a plastic spoon for his daily bowl of ice cream.